Hello Hastings, welcome to another In Studio. I am Tom Wright, and with me today is a president, a non-controversial president, president of the Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce, Kristy Barse. Kristy, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Lots to talk about this time around, huh?
There is.
Yes, we have you just had your annual meeting and dinner, which went very well. Talk about that and the awardees this year. Also, you had a big tourism community meeting that was a full house there, it looked like, at City Hall. Talk about that. And then also there's some developments and the sack and whack fees,
of course,
the big controversial sack and whack fees. So we'll get into that. And also rolling out Rivertown Days 2017 already.
We are, yes, which is crazy to think about, but that is a year-round committee that meets. So we're gearing up.
Wow, well, can't wait to hear all about that. Right. We're going to tease them with that one, though. We're going to save that one for the end. First, let's talk about this dinner that you just had down at Treasure Island. How'd it go?
It was excellent. It was extremely well attended. We had over 260 people from the chamber come. We had it at Treasure Island this year, so it was perfect space for it. And we incorporated a theme, which hasn't been done before. So we had the magic of Hastings was our theme, so we had a magician there for entertainment at the start.
I did see him there, by the way. Yes. Great job.
Yeah. Well, you got to take some of that credit.
Wasn't quite, wasn't this level right there?
Right. Huh? But you were a backup. Yeah.
Yes, I was a backup.
Okay, good. And you're on the committee, so you got to take some of that credit.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. It went really well. We had really good award winners this year too. So our business of the year was KWA Radio, and Dan Massman, very deserving of that award.
Very deserving, yeah.
And then our volunteer of the year, Cindy Thury-Smith, who is our city historian, extremely knowledgeable, volunteers for the Leduc, and she is part of the environmental group. And
probably gave the best start of the speech, I think, out of any of those I've seen. It's so hilarious. You've given her. You guys have to watch it on YouTube, but it's great.
Yeah, you're gonna have to spark my memory because I can't think of it now. I know she was great.
Yes, talking about how their volunteers were like, when she was talking about the heavy stuff at the end of her video. She's telling how her volunteers were like having the shovel motion.
That's right.
And then she said something about, well, you can't pick your volunteers, something like that.
Right.
So
yeah, she was
pretty
good.
Cute.
And then Kathy Gleick won Educator of the Year too from C's. She's been there for over 30 years and very, very well loved and very deserving. So it was a great night.
It was a great night. I'll have to say it was not a great night for me gambling wise because I lost $20. But Mike, I know. But Mike Bramer won. What was it, $86? Mike, I think it was.
Wow.
On the Wheel of Fortune machine.
Okay, so.
Yeah. So he's all for going back to Treasure Island, I'm sure, next year.
It must have been the enormous pineapple on the side of his drink, his good luck charm.
Yeah, exactly. Can you reveal, are you thinking you might go there next year again? Or?
Yeah, we're thinking about it. So we just had a wrap-up meeting, and the committee was really excited about how things went there. It was the perfect space. The staff was great. So nothing has been set in stone, but that's where we're thinking of going again next year.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, next up, the tourism community meeting you just had on a Saturday morning, February 25th. Looked like a full house of people there.
It was. It was. We really we didn't know what to expect. When I say we, it's the tourism board and I that put it on in collaboration with the University of Minnesota Extension Tourism Department.
And that's something a lot of people, I think, forget, the Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. It is a mouthful. But yeah, so we have a board that runs our tourism department. And this year we engaged in the tourism department of the University of Minnesota Extension to do a study of Hastings and the potential that our city has for tourism because we're surrounded by so many wonderful things. So the start of it was to get an understanding from our community members what they see as assets in town and to get their perspective on the quality and then get some ideas on how we can enhance them. So that's what the community meeting was about, and we had over 45 people that attended, and they had incredible energy. It was really fun. Yeah,
it looked like it. So what were some of the ideas? What kind of range of stuff were they throwing out there?
Yeah, well, I'll just give you an overview of the format. So what we did is we separated the group into five different categories. We had historic, the arts, scenic, and recreation, and I can't think of, there's one more. I can't think of it. But
well, whatever that one is, we'll show it right now on the screen. That's what we can do with TV. That's the beauty of TV.
Perfect. And so what we did is we asked the groups to start listing what they know of in our town that fall underneath that category. And then we had a board member sit with each group and they took notes, just kind of hear their feedback on what their experiences was at all of those tourist attractions, and then every 15 minutes we switched the big piece of paper. So everyone got to participate in each category. And then towards the end of that 15 minutes, they were asked questions by our tourism board, like what were your experiences? What do you wish that these assets have? Is there anything that the Tourism Bureau can do to better market it or plan new events? So yeah, it was really good feedback.
Yeah.
And some of the ideas that came out of it were more historic tours, so actual guided historic tours, not just of the Leduc, but of the historic homes in town. One idea that came out of it was a historic tour of Vermilion Street, which most people don't think of Vermilion Street as something historic, but there's a lot of history behind it. And so that was another good idea that came out of it. And then some additional signage for our amazing bike pass so that people that are taking advantage of our bike pass know where to go and what to explore. And yeah, there was a lot of good things that came out of it.
Wow. What would you say was like the biggest takeaway from that meeting? Was there anything that surprised you guys that you heard or excited you guys?
You know, I think what I hoped was that people would walk away from that meeting with a new appreciation for everything that we already have in town, and I think we accomplished that. So that was huge. That was great. And then people are really excited to come back together in May when the U of M is going to come back and do a SWOT analysis, basically on all of the notes that we give them from the initial meeting. So
great.
Yeah.
And I will note that somebody did put down Hastings Community TV as an asset on there. I noticed that.
Yes.
Maybe as Mike, I don't know, maybe Mike snuck in there and just wrote that on there. But definitely, yeah.
The arts,
can't argue with that. I can't argue with that.
Absolutely. I'm not arguing with that either.
Yeah, definitely can't argue with that. Okay, next up, the SAC and WAC fees.
Yeah.
For those not familiar, I did a little homework on this, so I'm more familiar. But they stand for the sewer availability charge and water availability charge. Basically, the sewer and water charges by the city charged to businesses and new developments.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, and these have been it's kind of a hot topic between local businesses and the city, correct? Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. That's fair to say, yes.
And from my understanding is that the businesses community feels like they're a little bit on the high side compared to what other cities charge in the area.
Correct. Yep. So a couple things. The SAC charge, there's a state charge, so it's set by the Met Council, and then cities that have an option to charge an additional SAC fee and then to charge a WAC fee. And so Hastings has both. They have the SAC and the WAC, and they were set in place for good reason because they pay for really important infrastructure that our city needs. And they were set in place, and I'm sure city staff and council members that were part of it can give you a better overview of this history, but they were set in place when Hastings was growing rapidly back in 2006, and there were some improvements that needed to be done to a water treatment plant. And I think most people that know we're surrounded by rivers, so that can affect our water quality, and we need to make sure that we have a high efficient water treatment plant and lots of other infrastructure. So, that's where they were set in place to be able to pay for that.
Which was an unexpected expense, right? And that's why I think, if I remember right, that it was kind of in the high $1 million. I don't have the number here, but it was a big price tag.
It was a big price tag. Yep. And again, I think city staff can probably give you more details on that, but I think what we found is no one anticipated the recession would be as large as it was, and it affected our community quite greatly, and so we weren't growing as fast as I think council and potentially city staff had initially anticipated. Yeah. So the chamber got involved when we had a few of our members come to us with plans for expansion, and they shied away because the price tag for the SAC and WAC were so high. And the thing with those fees are you have to pay them before you get your building permit, so you can't move forward with an expansion or changing the use of a building or new construction until those are paid.
I see.
So that's where the chamber formed a task force to just get ourselves educated on it, kind of take a look at what other cities were doing, and
And what are other cities doing? What did you find out? How do we compare to other cities?
Yeah, I think on the WAC side we came up as high, but you know, I think it's important to factor in all fees when it comes to development. So it's not comparing just apples to apples, but on the WAC side, we definitely came up very high, especially in Dakota County. And we're at a bit of a disadvantage because we're right next to Prescott and Red Wing, who are not part of the seven metro counties that are part of the Met Council. So they aren't charged that state fee on top of it.
I see.
If that makes sense, yeah.
Yes.
So it can be, because we have the city portion and the state, it can get very expensive.
Wow. And the city has responded, right? And you guys are working with the city too, and I understand there was a recent workshop?
There was, yep, it was a full council workshop, and they were looking at you know, utility rates, not just the second WAC, but meter charges and usage charges as well. But I think the council took it quite seriously. They were hearing from their constituents and from business owners as well that it was high, and so a couple options came out on the table, and I think the one that we understood they were leaning towards was a 25% decrease, but that decision hasn't been made. It goes back to Finance Committee, and they'll make a recommendation to Council.
Got you. Okay. Well, great. So it sounds like there's some development there that perhaps businesses may like.
Yeah, I think ultimately we were looking for more, but I don't know if this is the end of it. I think that it's a good start.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, I don't think it's the end. I think the council will continue to look at it, and I don't want to speak for them, but that was what I understood after the workshop.
Okay.
So
for what's next, it's going to a finance committee now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and then I think they'll make a recommendation to council. So.
All right.
Yeah, it was interesting. There, it's complicated. So it took our committee a while just to get well versed in it, to understand the matrix that is set by the Met Council, which Hastings follows, and I think that's pretty normal. So it took a while to get ourselves educated, and then to make sure that it was really worth advocating for. And what we found just through talking to our businesses who are looking to expand or change the use of a building, it was really a big expense. And so that's when I was board directive to move forward with it.
I know something that stirred the pot was last year the YMCA, for their expansion project, asked for a waive on their SAC and WAC fees. I think it was $52,000 or something like that. And I know that stirred the pot a little bit, because it was a split. It was a controversial vote. I think it was a 5-2 vote with Brooks and Nelson voting against. How was that received by the city or the business community when that happened?
Yeah.
I know you can't speak for everybody, but
I think it was mixed. I think there was. I think there were some owners who felt that maybe it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
And you're right, I can't speak for everyone, but it was a council decision, and I'm happy that the Y was able to move forward, and they're a good community asset. And but I think that from a private perspective, I think the business community was hoping that that they would be heard on the same level too, and that they would be offered some other opportunities, I guess. But I will say that after that decision was made, I do feel that that our business community spoke up quite a bit, and they talked to their council members, and they got themselves educated on it, and I think that they were heard. So I don't think this is the end of it. I think that once council makes a decision this year, that they will continue to look at it next year, from what I understand.
Okay. So would you say the flames are tempered a little bit? Are they gone down a little bit?
I think so.
Okay, yes. Well, that's good. All right. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the Hot Rivertown Days coming up in 2017. You guys just rolled out with a big announcement on that coming up, and with the button design and with the sponsorships and all that stuff.
Yes.
So tell us, where are you at this point? Just rolling it out?
We are. So the entertainment committee has been meeting since October. So we have a couple things already booked and set in place for that. We have a Twin Cities Powerboat Association coming back this year, and they're going to be doing high-speed powerboat races on Friday and Saturday, which I'm really, really excited about.
Cool.
Yeah, and the course is going to be perfect viewing from the New Hastings Riverwalk. So the boats are going to start out at the docks in J.C. Park, and then they'll race to the train bridge and back.
Oh.
So yeah, and they can get up to speeds of 135 miles per hour. So yeah, we're really excited. They're going to be great. And then we do have our 2 main stage bands booked. We have Arch Allies coming Friday night in J.C. Park, and then Made in Dixie coming Saturday night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's great. And we just got all the paperwork out, so once a sponsorship comes in, then we can have a better understanding of what our budget will be for this year. But the full committee will meet next week to make a decision on the button designs that were submitted.
Yes, and yeah, speaking of those designs, did you see some cool ones? How many did you get?
Oh my gosh, we got, I want to say 12. I think
12
we got
of them?
12.
That's a good number.
Yeah, I was happy with it.
Yeah.
And what I was really excited about is they were all really high quality. The committee's going to have a tough decision to make. So, yeah, very cool. And
when do we find out what the design is?
Yeah, so I think they're going to vote on it on Wednesday, and so I hope to make the announcement then that following Monday.
Okay.
We'll send that out in the chamber newsletter, and so a week away.
Very cool. What do you need from people at this point? Are you ready for volunteers and that sort of thing?
Yeah, we're looking for sponsors or people who are interested in being a vendor. The parade applications are on our website. That's all on the homepage of the website, and then it's also on the Rivertown Days page of the website. So that's it, and then we haven't set up our volunteer site quite yet, but we're working on it. So we'll make an announcement for that in a couple weeks. But right now, just those interested in sponsoring or being a vendor, either at the Arts and Crafts or down at J.C. Park.
Cool.
Yeah.
And have you started training on your rubber ducky race yet?
No, I haven't. No? I haven't, but I'm sure Mike has, so I better get on it.
Yeah, I bet he has. He's on it.
Yeah.
He's already. Yeah, he's nodding his head.
Yeah,
he's on it. Well, yeah, the champion here, by the way.
Yeah,
The duck race there.
That's right. He's shaking. I can tell over there.
He is. Yes. But Mike's he's on. He's ready to take it. He wants to take your crown. We'll see. We'll see, huh?
If he takes it, then he has to come back next year. So I don't know. I'm debating. Debating if I put as much effort into it as I did last year, because I really did smoke.
You did. Yeah, you smoked them.
I really did. So
we do have the footage. You definitely smoked them. Yeah. And Mike got smoked. No offense, Mike, but yeah.
It was a landslide.
It was a landslide. Great. Well, any other news business from the chamber? Membership, how's membership going?
Membership is going great. We are growing rapidly, actually, so membership has been really good. We just, actually, I was going to bring this up, we just added a new part of our website, and it's called Volunteers. So this came from our board chair, Tammy. She had heard from some friends who were looking for volunteer opportunities, new people who moved to Hastings, and so we thought, well, why can't the chamber house a part of our website as a way for people to figure out how to get involved? So our members are going to be able to post volunteer opportunities, so we're going to send that out on Monday to all our nonprofits and our chamber members, and then it will be right there on the homepage. You can pick volunteers, and it'll have a whole list of volunteer opportunities to do in the community. So
good idea.
So that's exciting.
That's very exciting.
Come out on Monday and.
Yes, and they can find that at hastingsmn.org.
Hastingsmn.org, right? Yes.
Great. Awesome. Well, Kristy, thank you very much for coming in, and good luck to you with all that. You got quite a full plate there.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And thank you, folks, for joining us for this In Studio. We'll see you next time.